Dr. Ramon Payne speaking. Today's subject matter is archaeoastronomy, psychology, consciousness, and potential. What is archaeoastronomy? Well, when you think of the Pyramids of Giza, the Washington Monument, Stonehenge, Adam's calendar, these structures have a certain type of resonance with not only the stars, but us as human beings or energy beings with potential. How does that relate to psychology? Well, we all have a birth sign, or we all have a astrological sign that we pretty much apply ourselves to. I'm a Virgo, 9/11 Virgo. What does that mean to me? Does it mean that I'm not a Gemini or a Taurus or even an Aquarius? Because this is the age of Aquarius. So if this is the age of Aquarius, how does that resonate with psychology, structure, and the universe? Do we only apply ourselves to one aspect of our chakra system? We have 7 chakras, like 7 days of the week. When we look at a particular star, do we embody all of that energy or some of it? The Orion constellation, as many of us know, is aligned with the Pyramids of Giza. Virgo is actually aligned with Federal Triangle in Washington, D.C. Why is all of that alignment and resonance relevant? Well, we have the theory of relativity, Einstein's theory of relativity, E equals mc squared. How does that relate to consciousness or psychology? Well, I think that's the one variable that was missing from Einstein's theory: consciousness. Dr. Stuart Hameroff, Roger Penrose have been talking about orchestrated reduction, microtubules. How does microtubules pretty much apply to real life? What are microtubules? Are microtubules fungus, bacteria? Well, consciousness is everything. So that means everything around us has a portion of consciousness associated with it. And that's what microtubules come in. Kinetochromes, mitosis, our hormonal system, our endocrine system, pineal gland, the way our heart and brain talk to each other. They talk to each other through specific neural pathways. And how does that relate to the chakras, the planets, Mercury in retrograde, Jupiter, and even Kundalini or Kundalini rising, or what we term ascension? Psychology, between Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud, we have a good yin and yang of that. And when I mean the yin and yang, that means that two opposites or two extremes, just like Socrates, Plato, Pythagoras, each individual played their unique perspective in consciousness. And all of that wisdom, that knowledge evolved. So archaeoastronomy is the study of looking at structure and how it applies to consciousness, as well as potential. My book, Fractal Point Potential, where quantum physics and healing meet evolution, talks about a lot of these topics and put it together so that they are relative to our psyche. Now, what do we do with that potential? We each have different goals. We each have children, pets, family, or neither. So our goals and potentials of how we use our chakra system are subjective. But when it comes to orchestrated reduction, the Adinkra codes, algorithms, microtubules, subjectivity is what that is. So if we have greed, if we have fear, if we have love, we're all going to resonate on that energy in different ways. And that's where the psychology of archaeoastronomy and consciousness come together, just like the fractal point potential. I've trademarked this phrase to give the understanding of what is fractal energy. Fractal energy is the potential for crystallization. And that has everything to do with pretty much everything around us. Our environment. Our environment is at a critical point of needing to have a lot of evolution, a lot of upgrades, a lot of the bridges we've built, a lot of the lines of transportation, even space travel. All of these elements of travel that we see need to be upgraded. And how is that going to happen? How will we travel to different star systems? Is it because of the energy that we use, or is it how we apply our consciousness to get there? Tribes of old understood principles, understood concepts of science without today's technology. So how was that? That's where consciousness comes in, especially structures like Adam's calendar, Nan Madol, Göbekli Tepe, countless others, Easter Island. All of these structures give us a nice feel as to how structure and energy and ley lines coexist. And that has everything to do with the theory of relativity, because we need to take all of that information, Stonehenge, put it together and make sense of it. Not just by looking at it, but resonating on it. And how does that relate to sexuality or Kundalini? Well, cultures of old use that energy in ways that I think we have lost. That means we just compartmentalized it for reproductive personal needs instead of respecting the energy of. And that's where today's talk is going to. Talking about kids. Talking about when they get that telephone, when they're at school, when they are subject to the influences of their peer groups, porn, violence, drugs. And when we say drugs, by the way, sugar is probably one of the worst drugs out. So when we say drugs, it's pretty subjective. Is marijuana a drug? Of course, but does it have healing properties? Of course, that's subjective. Because the willow plant, just like aspirin, they both have energy in different ways. So it depends on if you want to heal in the right place or just get the quick fix. So teaching our kids how to not only have the technology, but to respect the technology, to actually resonate with the technology. Today's technology is pretty much an extension of ourselves. That artificial intelligence sphere of influence is very real. That's what microtubules and orchestrated reduction have taught us. Our phones are getting just as smart or as fast as thought in real time. And how we use that technology is the key to how we get to higher dimensions. In Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Superhuman, there's a good understanding of how the methylation of the pineal gland works. When we dream, how we dream, what happens. In Aaron Voot's book, DMT, Deities, Myths, and Tryptamines, there's a whole talk about how brain chemistry, the pineal gland, psychology, consciousness, and potential resonate in ways that we don't, or we've forgotten. And so these pieces of literature, these aspects of science, these aspects of quantum physics and how they entangle with psychology, potential, sexuality, our chakras, our traumas from the past, our generational curses that some of us never break, Diabetes is a generational curse. I'm sorry, type 2 diabetes. Juvenile diabetes is a whole nother beast. When it comes to cancer, cancer is usually brought about from habits, generational curses, and a lot of our habits from our parents, our friends get passed down to us. They get stuck in our chakras. They get stuck in the ways of our psyche and in the energy that's in our spine. And it resonates. It resonates like a bacteria. It resonates like just a clogged pipe. And when it comes to abstinence, when it comes to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all these issues that are chemistry related, the endocrine system works in ways we don't realize. Because our endocannabinoid system complements our bodies in ways that if we don't even know what that system is, that's like saying you're eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and you don't really know what the peanut butter is. The way our lymph system is responsible for detoxing the brain, the body, and the way our anandamide is utilized in our body, the testosterone, all of these elements of chemistry are relevant. And that's where the theory of relativity comes in with psychology. And then it merges with the ancient history aspect of archaeoastronomy, which is archaeology and astronomy together like limestone and calcium and the Great Pyramids of Giza, or the Washington Monument, which is one of the most powerful phallic symbols in the world. Dr. Fred Krauss-Welsing, author of the ISIS papers, I read it in college in the 90s, changed my whole perspective on structure and how powerful it is. We need to understand what we put in our mouth, what we put in our body. The symbolism of numbers, of resonance, of maintenance of our brain and our body. We just need to probably be a little more wiser and a little more patient with our habits and our tendencies so that we can take our fractal point potential to a point where it's like being a comic kid. That means utilizing our potential in ways that we may have forgotten. Ramon Payne, signing out from today's talk on archaeoastronomy, psychology, and consciousness, and how it relates to you. Thank you.